Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I come from an industry where we always say that every 2 years we have a crisis. Every 2 years, and if it is not there, we're surprised that what's wrong. But every time the industry met with a crisis, we came out with changes addressing the issues that has led to that crisis. And actually, my work recently has been with the microfinance. And if I just compare this with the gaming, I would say politically, socially, the relevance, of course, of microfinance, since it is dealing with around 80% population of the country, should have been high on scale with the political leaders, but it was never so. Because we've been always looking at banking as a primary body that should take forward. And what I would say that, microfinance for the last 20 years, the difference which I would see with many other industries association has been that, we have been always running ahead of the regulator. We have been always running ahead. We were telling them, give us the regulation. They say, why do you want regulation? The whole world said no regulation. We identified much earlier that, the work that we do with the poor will not be having a voice to support us, that, this is a good sector, we need them. And therefore, and also, when we began with this work, the people like Ila Bhatt and Vijay Mahajan, very compassionate people, they were very, very clear about their social, responsibilities and all. But once you become an industry, then all kind of players enter that. And therefore, it is important to have a norm which will abide everybody together. So actually, when we started working on it, one thing I think one of our colleagues said previously that, in microfinance, we choose very early to engage with the policymakers. We may engage policymakers, political leaders, whether they're in power or in opposition, with media. We work very, very closely with them. And every time we are taking a leap into developing the sector work, we used to share with them, take their feedback, and you go forward on that. So I think that actually helped us hugely. And if I have two examples, madam, with me. One from microfinance, where I would say that, I think is the only industry which has got recognition from the regulator. And that too from Reserve Bank of India, which is a very, very conservative regulator world over. The second example, which I would say, and I will tell you why I feel that, we got that recognition from Reserve Bank of India. The second case I will take from the security market, body. And in that case, if I just share with you, the SEBI, when it came into being and replaces Comptroller of Capital Issues, and immediately after that, we had a very big Harsh and Mehta case and the markets crashed. SEBI worked with all the mutual fund organization, bring them together, formed a group, and they were trying to, prepare them to become a SRO. So here we are careful. I'm just making two very important statements. In microfinance, we were behind the regulator that we need regulation, and we kept on working. We got regulation in 2010, but we started working with the regulator in 1995 when we started looking at commercial way of providing services. In the case of share market, SEBI, wanted to work on the regulatory framework, but I think that was around, I would say around 2004. There's one very important report that came in 2000, where SRO bodies globally, they came together and wanted to understand that why do we need a self-regulatory organization within the regulatory framework. And they said very, very clearly that, self-regulation typically involves a unique combination of a private interest with government oversight, right? And it is an effective and efficient form of regulation for a complex, dynamic, and ever-changing industry. So I think it has three components said when they talk about that, why do we need to have a self-regulation? They said it is a public interest, but combined with regulatory oversight, which means you need to have a regulatory framework, and self-regulation comes in as a frontline regulator to bring discipline among the people who are part of the industry. But then what happened that when they worked in 2004, they came out with the SEBI came out with self-regulatory SRO guidelines. 10 years they worked with the AMFI, which is the Association of Mutual Fund Industry. And then when they tried to, and then opened the invitation for people to, apply for it, AMFI led one institution applied. They give them in principle approval, but it was challenged. I'm talking about 2014. And even now, they could not, give them recognition in AMFI. In this case, what happened, because it was challenged in the court of law that, this institution, which has been recognized as an SRO, does not have the financial capacity, does not have the skills, technical capacity to lead all the players and come with a self-regulatory organization which can strengthen the market, which can bring discipline among the providers, and which can also protect the interest of the investors, right? So it was put on hold, and Supreme Court also upheld the decision of the tribunal. In 2023, in one of the CCCI meeting, SEBI asked MP, but you have to work like a SRO. So still struggling. In the case of microfinance, we I think we had a meeting with the finance minister, a learned man, and we were told by a board, we have to go and meet him. Even if we sit outside his room, he does not meet us, but we must try it. The whole purpose was that, because the entire polity, the entire, all the governments, they always, because of a welfare state of the country, they said that only government will serve the people. They cannot think a private institution working in the area of, including finance, working with. How did we deal with that? We constantly work with them. We provided them examples from the field. We also developed a code of conduct much in advance. It was almost in 2000 when we submitted the first draft of microfinance bill, which we all put together, right? As a practitioner, we at that one time we envisaged a microfinance bank. We said we should also have a microfinance bank so that we can provide the, even the deposit facilities to the poor, because otherwise microfinance provide credit to them. It was Chitambram, and he bought into it. And after that, RBI, all these years, we were meeting them, explaining to them the need of regulation. RBI said, world over, regulators only regulate deposit collection. We never regulated lending. It's between you and the borrower. But we said that the borrower is not in the same position as the lender. They're poor people. They're not educated. They can't evaluate the services, the quality of service. So therefore, regulation is required. We were giving them argument, right? And we came with the code of conduct. It was released by Vinod Rai ji in 2007. And we said, from that time we were association. That time it was right from the beginning, we told our members, and we told them that, even if we are, at that time, all of them were societies trust. They were not required to comply with the law also, Companies Act. We said, since you are borrowing money from the bank, since you are serving poor people, you must abide by Schedule 6 balance sheet and profit and loss, structure, so that you are always transparent. So what I'm only trying to say that, as an association, at that time it was Sadhan, we did everything to bring in place a discipline, transparency, good governance, even if we had no teeth. It was not an SRO recognized by RBI. It was just an association, a collective body of practitioners. But then we did everything to make sure that, we are moving towards a self-disciplining or self-policing body. And then we submitted one draft of microfinance bill, but then the parliament came to an end. We again worked on another bill. We put together everything, and that was owned by Ministry of Finance. RBI came on board, and we actually pushed in the deposit collection. We called it thrift, a very small amount to people. And RBI got cold feet that in case it get through, in the first bill, RBI refused to say that I will not become regulator. There were two reasons. And this report which I'm referring, it referred to both the reasons, and that applies to all sectors. One, the cost of, if you're a regulator, then the cost of supervision. For example, if I take the case of gaming, all right, the cost of supervision is one. Second, because these are new subjects and the regulators across board are not equipped to envisage what they need to supervise, right? And therefore, the self-regulatory organization system has been brought in India because it is there for a very long time. This report even saying, they said very interestingly, to realize the concept of self in the self-regulation, SRO should encourage market participants to contribute to the development of industry's best practices and standards. Only reason is that if they are involved in developing the standards, they will own it and they'll comply with it. If it comes from top down, then the whole effort to make them comply with it is normally can't be done even by the regulators. So, and we also experienced it. When we did code of conduct, it was a almost 1 year long exercise. We went from state to state. We talked to members in their own states with other peers with them. And then after 1 year, we brought together comments from all participants of all different legal forms. And then we came out with a code of conduct, and it was remembered by people clause by clause because they all participated. They contribute in developing it. So this way, in microfinance, we worked on customer protection. We worked on bringing discipline, transparency among the practitioners, and we constantly work on the developmental sector also. We worked very, very closely. Very interestingly, in 2011, when we got the regulation and all kind of players, they jumped into it. The investments came from abroad and everything. It was very the main critique against us was over lending or multiple lending. Now, when the number of customers goes into lakhs and crores, manually not possible. Then members of the industry, they got together, they put money on the table, and we invited a high mark a credit bureau from USA who came here at our request and developed a model of credit bureau where we can track every footstep of a customer. So what I'm only saying that, in microfinance, we build a trust with the regulator and the policymakers that this body is ready to exert pressure on the members and bring compliances. And when we got in 2013, Ministry of Finance shared a paper saying that we are looking at inviting SRO applications for the industry. And in 2014, we applied, and 2 organizations were given recognition. Now, recently, there was a new kid on the block is fintech companies. And everybody think that, since these people have got the SRO makes a lot of difference. When SRO recognized by the central government, because we work, up to the village level. There are services in the villages, semi-urban area. Now imagine explaining to them, because there's an act called Protection of Depositors Collection. You must have heard about Ponzi schemes, collect money and then vanish. Whenever any police officer see staff of microfinance, they have the Ponzi scheme because they're taking money. They don't ask you for what purpose you're taking money. And most of the time, when there's some Ponzi scheme crisis happening in the state, the first thing happened in all offices of microfinance in that state is being sealed, right? But in the last few years, we have worked very, very closely, not with the central government, but with the state government, with the district authorities, and even with the panchayats, explaining to them what this work is, what do we do. I won't say that there's no problem right now, but I would say that, even if somebody is not recognizing it and somebody has taken the staff of microfinance police station, on the phone, we can resolve the issues. This kind of understanding we have tried to build. It was a difficult task, madam, but I think the togetherness of the sector has melted the ice, and we are here in the world.
Thank you so much.